This is actually a relatively simple series of layouts you can do to sever psychic ties based on how the person forged the tie. A lot of people actually establish psychic ties without knowing it, and so this is a good way to perform maybe an initial crystal cleansing that you feel might not actually be fixed by any other kind of cord cutting you might do in your regular routine. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move up the 7 chakras. For this you will need 2 pieces of black tourmaline, 2 obsidian arrowheads or sharp obsidian glass if you have that on hand. I highly recommend you get yourself an obsidian or gold sheen obsidian wand. If not, you can always use a clear quartz or a black tourmaline wand if you have one. We're going to choose our colored stones based on the chakras as we go up. If the person established that negative psychic cord through a physical altercation or sexual contact, you're going to want to work on the base chakra using any red stone. I have carnelian here. You can also use a tiger's iron or a red jasper. And we're just going to draw the energy out here, and what that's going to do, the obsidian is going to sever the ties, and the black tourmaline is going to remove the negativity. You're going to leave that there for about 5-6 minutes. For the sacral chakra, we are going to be using this to sever any psychic cords that may be ancestral or family related. If there is maybe a cord stuck to a parent or a sibling, or like I said, an ancestor, this is also where you're going to want to go and deal with any kind of family karma the person may have inherited through birth. For the solar plexus, this is for altercations where the person is establishing psychic ties to groups of people or establishments. If somebody actually has a negative tie to maybe a former place of employment, maybe they've switched careers, or they work in a field where they're dealing with a lot of people. This could be anywhere from hospitality to medicine to psychiatrics. This is an excellent way for somebody to clear those. Teachers as well need to actually consider this because they are going to be dealing not only with children but their parents, and most of the time those negative psychic ties are going to come from the kids' parents. This is a great thing to clear, especially when you have a hard time exerting your will in a public spectrum. With the heart chakra, you want to clear any psychic ties that were established through not only romantic relationships but any kind of fraternal relationships that is no longer serving the person. This also might work if you're actually trying to sever a karmic connection to somebody whom you are certain that you might have some kind of romantic attachment or vibrational connection to that you will not or should not actually experience. So this is a good way to defend yourself from those quote-unquote soulmate crises. And for the throat, this is where you're actually going to be clearing up any psychic cords or ties that are established through contractual connections. Doesn't necessarily have to be legal contracts. These could be promises and vows. If somebody is in a situation where they are dealing with connections to people through custody, you're dealing with somebody who's been divorced, or you're actually dealing with a situation where your words are actually binding you up into obligations with people that you really wouldn't actually obligate yourself to during the broad sober light of day, this is a good way to actually control that. The third eye is a good way to clear any psychic cords or connections to events witnessed, past, present, or future. This is also an excellent way to stop a person's nightmares from actually manifesting. Sometimes people have psychic cords and connections to places and in time, and the third eye is a good way to sever those connections so that trauma is no longer actually plaguing the person through their memory or through any kind of storage in their mind they might have. Third eye is an excellent thing to cleanse, especially if you're dealing with somebody who is perhaps a tarot reader or a diviner or a healer of some kind, somebody who actually does make contact with dysfunction and disease on a regular basis. That way this person does not actually receive any of the imprints from that energy. Clearing the crown chakra is especially important for mediums or anybody who actually does do work with incorporeal spirits. This is where we actually receive psychic messages and impressions and guidance. So if somebody has a past where they may have been dealing with either fraudulent spiritual messages, negative spiritual messages, or encountering harsh, hostile, or foul energies or entities that may actually still have their impressions and programming in their spirit, in their aura, this is a good thing to cleanse, especially if those people, while consenting to the healing of course, still see that as maybe a toxic relevance in their life. And what do I mean by toxic relevance? Somebody who is actually being led down the wrong path, they know they're being led down the wrong path, can be attached to a negative foul influence simply by virtue of the fact that they have that influence and they like having it there. So it's very important to clear these up regularly, especially if you're a psychic medium.